What is going on, YouTube? Another day, another open house, another video. I know it's been about 3 weeks since I've last uploaded. It's just kind of put my head down, started getting to work, which goes with today's topic, and it's called Don't Go Broke. So, not my usual video where I'm trying to show some cool angles or a little bit of an edit. I'm just going to kind of speak some straight facts here. But as a real estate agent, there are many different curveballs that are going to come your way that can basically throw you off course. And if you're not financially ready for that, then you need to at least be prepared and have the mindset of knowing that, anything can go left or right. So just because you get $2 million houses under contract, which is maybe, let's just say, equivalent to $60,000 in commission with an average commission base, then you would basically, not $60,000 for one house, $60,000 for two houses, for a $2 million house. But at that point, what can happen is you could lose both of them. So if you're planning on buying the new car, or you bought a new car and you're planning on paying it off cash after those two closings, and then they both fall through, then you're left with nothing pretty much. And so just to kind of give you an idea, I just want to give you a little bit more of a background of where I've been. So let's just look at, November of 2021, or let's go back one more month, October of 2021. So I had a closing. It was about 250,000, 256 to be exact. And so I got a decent amount of money, but of course I have bills. I have rent. I have to pay my car. I have to pay, other things that are coming in, electricity, my Apple Music. But other than that, all those add up. And so November, I was caught by surprise because I didn't really make any money. December, it's a busy time of the year, but at the same time, it's not. And then since I'm not from San Antonio, I like to go home and visit my family. But same thing, I didn't make as much as I thought I would. But I wasn't really stressed about it. That's the thing. I was thinking to myself, I have a deal going on right now, $220,000 home. It's going to be sold in the beginning of January. So why am I going to stress? So I wasn't really stressing because we were just so close to closing at that point that I was thinking to myself, like, what could go wrong? Because I hadn't experienced this yet. And so what happened was the day before closing, which I believe was set for maybe January 5th, maybe January 6th, I can't necessarily recall. But the day before closing, I received an email from the lender that said, unfortunately, we are still missing tons of paperwork from your client that we have been requesting. And I have been on my client about it, and I can't, force them to grab their hand and get them to turn the paperwork in. But every time I told them, make sure you get this turned in, make sure you get this turned in, they would say, yes, I agree, okay, I'll get it done. But they never did. And I was unaware of it. And when I would ask them, is everything turned in? They would say yes. So your clients, not necessarily, that they're trying to do you wrong, but your clients could at the same time, be in the position to where they're going to put themselves in a bad position, which is going to put you in a bad position. And you're doing everything you can to make sure that it goes through smoothly. But it doesn't always go that way. And so what happened was that deal fell through, and I was in complete panic mode because I kind of took my foot off the pedal at that time because it was already, the holidays. I decided to go see family. I decided to kind of just, not necessarily stress about it because I was thinking to myself, well, I'm going to get a pretty big check in January, so why am I going to stress about that right now? And I'll just get back to it when I come back from vacation. But yeah, totally flipped my world upside down. I was in total shock mode. I was working extremely hard. I went back to door knocking because I don't always door knock consistently. I'm more of a cold call person, and I film with my phone, so I wish I could record my cold calls for you. I think I showed maybe one or two. If I decide to get a camera, or this becomes a thing, or you guys would like to see me cold call, then I'll definitely get a camera, invest in one, so that way you guys can watch me. But I'm more of a cold call person. But when things go really south for me, I do both. And I'll spend more time possibly door knocking during those times because I was trying to get a listing because of the way that the market was. I mean, now you want to have a buyer with the way that the market's going, just my advice. But it's always good to have both because you're prepared. But either way, went back into full work mode and, pulled myself out of that, which is good, and it's a good thing that all the work that I had done previously in that year is the only reason why things turned around for me, so fast. But as a new agent, depending on where you're at, for me, I quit my job back in November and I didn't have a savings. So for me, it was kind of risky, but it just felt right at that time. I'm ready to let it go full force, which is odd because November, December is the time I didn't make money. And that's when I went full force. But for somebody, everybody's different and where they're at. Some people I noticed, not like saying anything crazy, but like I've seen, more middle-aged people get into real estate, and they've already either had a career or most likely have a good lump sum of money saved up. But for the younger agents like us, you know, you might not have that money saved up. Maybe you do, that's good. Awesome. I would totally advise it if you could. But of course, if you're like me and you're just ready to go, you want to hit the ground running, you might be in the same position. And I like to call it, like being on a roller coaster, because there's times where I'm like, doing amazing, doing really well. And there's times where, I'm like, okay, man, I got to start like, rationing my food. Not really, but you get me. And then same thing, shooting back up. And so really what it comes down to, not being broke, is to make sure, and in my opinion, I'm going to show you a picture right now that has 6 of my contracts that I currently have under contract. Same thing, I wasn't stressing. I'm thinking to myself, I literally have 6 houses under contract. Like, what could go wrong? Well, anyways, they keep getting pushed back. And it's not necessarily saying that I'm like, at ground zero right now and I'm losing my apartment and I'm losing my car or anything like that. But it definitely adds unnecessary stress. And not that I took my foot off the pedal, but, I did have kind of like a, not contentment, but I just felt at ease because I was thinking to myself, like, I have 6 houses under contract. What can go wrong? They're going to close and it'll just keep adding up. But yeah, just same thing, anything could fall through. Don't count on it, because I did lose 2 deals that I was supposed to have on August 8th, which would have been 8 houses under contract in total. But unfortunately, those 2 didn't go through, which are out of my control. But it happens, like I said. But I still have 6, but they keep getting pushed back. So it's like, okay, I was supposed to get paid this week, but maybe I'll get it next week. Same thing. It's been 2 weeks since I was supposed to have 2 different closings. I'm going to finally close either this week or next week on one of them. Can take a breath I could take a breath of fresh air. There we go. Totally forgot the line. So either way, what I want to get there is that maybe 6 seems like a lot to you. As a new agent, it was, a lot for me to think that just to have 2 under contract at the same time. But I would advise that no matter what, do not take your foot off the gas pedal and continue to keep working until you get that consistency where you're hitting 2 or 3 houses every month. And it's just, smooth sailing for you, because at the end of the day, we can make $50,000 in commissions. But if you're not making any more money after that and you stop working for, let's just say 2 months, and you're not generating new business, it takes 30 to 45 days to close a house. So at that point, if you're 2 months in, you spent the majority of your money, and you're like, I need to start working now, well, you're still not going to get paid for another 30 to 45 days unless you have a cash buyer. And, sometimes those are kind of hard to come across. But another thing too is make sure that you put money aside for taxes. And that could also be like your, rainy fund or rainy day money on the side. I would highly advise not to spend it, because you do not want the IRS knocking on your door. But it could be there if you need it. Just make sure that you pay it back once you have your other closings coming in. But I would always advise just to set aside money for your taxes, because it could also be used as a rainy day fund. But just getting back on the tube, just wanted to talk to you guys. I want to be obviously more consistent with you and try to keep hitting it hard, because YouTube is a grind. And when you're building a business, it's even harder to stay consistent with either one, just because sometimes it does take your time. Like, I have a million things to do right now. But I wanted to hop on the camera because I wanted to talk to you guys. I appreciate your support, and just make sure you like this video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Consider me. I will definitely come back and give you guys some awesome advice. And I'll also show you some really cool houses here in San Antonio. And I'll catch you in the next video.
Okay, Keno, I see. Dreaming, talking in your sleep. I know you want to cry all night.